there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. And we are in the month of letting go. We've explored what that can look like, from skillful venting to letting go of the stories we tell ourselves. And then just last week, we explored this idea of closing the stress cycle, so letting go of the physiological impact by using some of the tools discussed in that book I mentioned called Burnout. And so for this week, because there's just so much that we could let go of, I thought that I would extend the invitation in particular this week to explore the idea of letting go of regrets. Now, we've all got them. We are perfectly imperfect, flawed, but aspiring to improve human beings, and we make mistakes. And over the years, I've talked a lot about not beating yourself up and all of that. So, I mean, that's self-evident, I hope, at this point. But even beyond this idea of not beating yourself up is being willing to set down, move past, in other words, let go of whatever regrets you might still be clinging to for whatever reason. And certainly this isn't going to be a big therapy session where we talk about why. There's you know me, I'm always talking about books, and there's a book that I read, and the title is escaping me at the moment, but one of the big questions in that book that the author invites the reader to reflect on is, in what way is this serving me? And the regrets certainly don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have a quality of regret and to feel bad and all the various, nuanced shades of that, like, pain, grief, shame, guilt, whatever it might be. So we don't do it certainly for some sort of a feeling of pleasure or satisfaction when we feel this quality of regret. But nonetheless, we do still pursue it. And, sometimes it is hard for us to let these things go. And so that really might be the question that might be interesting to explore is, by choosing to not let this regret go, in what way is that serving me? In what way am I benefiting, perhaps? And perhaps some of it is you still feel like you need to punish yourself. I mean, it could go in a lot of different directions, but I think it's a really interesting question. Now, if for some reason you come to the conclusion that perhaps it's time to set down this burden of whatever regrets you might be hanging on to, then what I would encourage you to do is just step by step as you move forward, embrace what hopefully will feel like a greater quality of lightness and buoyancy by not being weighed down by those regrets. Now, final thoughts before we get into our practice. The only other thing I'd add is, just because you're letting go of the regrets doesn't mean that, whatever you're regretting was okay and that it wasn't a mistake and it's unworthy of regret. Certainly that's not the case. But there's a point where it's just time. It's just time to let it go for your own, not only mental health and wellness, but also for your growth. If you're allowing yourself to really be weighed down by this, what is it perhaps keeping you from rising toward? All right, I'll drop the mic on that one. So let's go ahead and start our practice. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. Okay. As always, go ahead and just take some of those deep, calming and cleansing belly breaths. As you remember, that was one of the options for closing the stress cycle and down-regulating back to our homeostatic state. And while we do this at the beginning, know you can do it anytime. I often find myself, often in the final third of our practice, inviting in some deeper breathing. And I'm not sure why, but it always just feels right to me. It's almost like a way to recalibrate and resettle for that final part of the meditation. So remembering you can do that anytime. We haven't talked about posture in a while, so just as a reminder, you can think of your vertebrae as being stacked one upon the other like a stack of coins. And by being aligned, there's a quality of being self-supported like coins, but it's when it tends to have too much of a curve in one direction or another that it requires more effort to maintain that upright posture. So it's just a thought to consider. And of course, you don't want to sit in a way that's rigid or tight or constricted. But as you've heard me say before, you want to sit in a way that exemplifies your inherent dignity. You know, you can rest your attention on the breath or the body or sounds. And also just open awareness. Not on one in particular, but just noticing from moment to moment whatever you can observe through your sense doors of touch, sound, or hearing. If you have your eyes slightly open, even sight, you get the idea. So let's go ahead and sit in silence together for a while, and I'll keep an eye on the time and check in a little bit. deep breath in the final third, not even on purpose. So using this brief check-in as an opportunity just to notice where the mind is. And if you are still in that space of mindful awareness, with your attention resting on the present moment, continuing to do so. And if your mind wandered, just bringing it back. So in the little over 2 minutes we have left, let's once again return to silence. And my invitation to you for these final 2 minutes is to try less hard. So to loosen whatever efforting you are putting forth and just dialing it back, maybe 10%, and noticing what impact that may make on how these final few minutes feels. So that's our 10 minutes. So if it resonates with you, once again, my invitation for you this week is just to reflect on any regrets that might be present for you. I said it wrong the whole time. My cameraman should have told me that. Whatever regrets you might feel like it's time to let go of. And again, perhaps allowing those, the letting go of those to lighten your load and help you to rise to some new place. So thank you as always for taking this time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.